Update. My life has imploded. Husband 29 male slept with my mom 55 female right before we got married 2 years ago. Original post. He confessed it to me yesterday out of guilt. The details are that he was extremely drunk on his bachelor party nights, which I knew had happened. He doesn't drink often and overdid it. Said the next morning that he didn't remember anything after a certain point. I thought nothing of it. Looking back, I can see how he was acting pretty off, which I assumed at the time was wedding jitters. Now he's told me he did remember coming home that night, which was when my mom, staying with us that week for the wedding, came on to him. He went along with it to the point of ending up hooking up with her in her bed. In fact, he passed out on her bed and was there the whole night. My bachelorette party was the same night, and I came home around 3 a.m. to see he wasn't in our bed. I texted him but assumed he had crashed with a friend, as he'd said he might do that if things got crazy. But he was actually with my mother, right in the room next freaking door. The next morning, he quietly slipped out while I was still asleep. Then opened the door pretending he'd just come home after sleeping off the drunkenness at his friend's. He got into bed with me and told me that lie. As if that wasn't enough, he also initiated intimacy soon after, when he had been banging my mother mere hours before. We got married the very next day. Damn everything. I literally cannot believe this. My mother has a history of trying to flirt with guys I've dated and being inappropriate. Not this bad, but still. My husband knew this. We laughed about it, and he reassured me he would never in a million years think she was attractive. I called her last night. Just said, husband told me everything. She spent several minutes pretending not to know what I was talking about, then denying everything and saying he was making it up. Then claiming she'd woken up to my husband forcing himself on her. The sheer audacity of the BS she's capable of is beyond any disgust I can properly convey. I eventually just ended a call. I could not stop crying. She refused to even admit the truth, let alone take any responsibility or apologize. I'm not even worth basic honesty in my own mother's eyes. I'm not even worth a half-baked I'm sorry to her. The person is supposed to love you no matter what. And does she also think I'm stupid? Why keep lying to someone who knows you're lying, unless you actually think they'd fall for your crap? Today I can't cry at all. Everything feels unreal. I'm completely lost and almost feel like I dreamed this or something. I've lost the 2 most important people in my life because they decided that I wasn't as important to them as having a quick hookup. Well, I hope it was the best 10 minutes of their lives. And sure, maybe my husband didn't come home that night with a planned intention of sleeping with her. He probably didn't, and it was just horrible judgment from over-drinking. That doesn't change the fact he and my mom had done it. No one should be able to say that about their spouse. How's that normal? I cannot imagine remaining in a marriage where my spouse has banged my mom, literally 2 nights before our wedding. There's simply no coming back from that, right? No, I will never get over or forgive it. I feel absolutely revolted that for the last 2 years, they've been at family visits together acting more or less normal, with me right there like a stupid clueless fool. There's probably much more I'm forgetting, but maybe it doesn't even matter. I'm just done. My life is gone and I have no idea where I will be next week, let alone next year. We were going to be together for the rest of our lives. Now it's gone. Just like that, I have nothing. What can I do now? How do I possibly explain to the rest of my family why we're divorcing? I am so freaking humiliated. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Okay, so if your mother were telling the truth about him forcing himself on her, why would she be okay with her daughter marrying an offender? My brain cannot compute the awfulness of it all. You deserve better than both of them. Don't be embarrassed. They should both be ashamed, especially your mother. Either the mom's an offender or the husband is. With all the details provided here, it sounds like the mom is. But of course, so many think he's a cheating scumbag. She took advantage of him being drunk. Mom has a history flirting and being inappropriate with Opie's past boyfriends. That's true. The mother absolutely did force herself on him. But instead of telling his wife everything as soon as he realized it happened, he chose not to. He kept up the lie by mission for 2 years. He's not innocent either. Tell everyone the truth. Burn them down. She's got to get ahead of this before the mom pulls some BS and tries to paint herself as the victim. Opie needs to cut all contact with her awful mother, and she needs to tell her family the whole story so they don't try and force her to reconnect. Opie, I'm so sorry. First of all, you don't have to explain to the family if you don't want to. You could say something like it's not working out and we have decided to separate and are not comfortable discussing more. On the other hand, you could just say the truth because if your mom has decided to lie and accuse her husband of raping her, when she knows that is not the truth, mainly due to the fact that she has done that in the past. She could very well lie about why you stopped talking to her, paint you in a bad light, which brings me to my next point. I think you should cut contact with your mother, at least for now. I know the truth epically sucks, but other people should be warned about this, especially if OP has other siblings. Either the mom or the soon-to-be ex-husband is an offender. If this isn't aired out, it could happen again to someone else. And now for the update. My actual update will be brief, but I first want to thoroughly address what you guys said on my first post. I read every single comment. I guess skip to the bottom if you just want to know the update. Most of you were pointing out that it sounded like my husband was too drunk to consent, meaning she violated him. When I spoke to him again after reading all of that, I asked him carefully if he felt that she took advantage of his drunkenness. There was a long pause. He sighed and gave me this look that was just full of guilt and sadness, and then basically said no, that it would be easy to go with the out I was giving him, but that I deserved the full truth. He then proceeded to tell me that before that night, they had been ex-thing for several months. He had not told me this the first time he confessed. He went on to tell me more, explaining that he left this out because the biggest issue was the actual cheating, and he hadn't wanted to hurt me by giving all the lead-up details. He only gave them this time out of some remaining sense of honor, I guess. He said it'd be even more of a coward if he misleads me to think it was without consent. So I guess he's not as much of a liar as he could be. Don't know how to feel about that. Anyway, they had been exting, including exchanging nudes, for a few months before the wedding. Now, I had known they texted sometimes. They always had a friendly relationship. I hadn't ever suspected anything weird. Like I said in the first post, he'd been adamant that he'd never think of her that way. I trusted him. He can't explain why they started texting beyond he got caught up in the thrill of doing something forbidden. There were implications made about wanting to do things in real life as a one-night thing, should the opportunity even arise. Disgusting. So fast forward to our bachelor/bachelorette party's night. The texting between him and her was going on while he was out that night. So what I said in my first post about how he probably didn't come home intending to sleep with her? Yep, that was wrong. He did. In fact, him telling me he was going to stay overnight with his friend if he got too drunk was all part of the setup. He knew I'd be out very late at a show. He had the presence of mind to arrange a way to leave his party earlier in the night, go home, sleep with my mother, and already have given me a plausible explanation for appearing not to be home when he got back at 3 a.m., so that he could spend that one night with her. It was just that important to him to have the full experience of falling asleep after the deed and waking up next to each other. He reiterated that he had been aware the whole time of what he was doing. He was not as drunk as he'd made it seem the next morning when he claimed not to remember anything that happened. I think that tripped people up in my first post into thinking he was incapacitated. I thought I'd been clear that he had admitted during his first confession that it was an act he put on to me at the time to cover up his cheating, which he then explained he actually had remembered everything the next morning. So just to be clear again, while he did get drunk, at no point did he black out or become totally wasted to the point he was incapable of controlling his decisions and body. He doesn't know if she was drunk too or relatively sober. She had mentioned she was drinking when he was out at his party, but he doesn't know how much. He said since that night, he hadn't texted her at all except about logistical details of visits, and one text he sent her the day after. In that one, he said it would never happen again, and she'd lose me if I knew, correct, so she better never let it slip. She agreed. He claims everything between them since then has been a normal mother-in-law relationship. Do I believe that? Doesn't matter. He lied for 2 years and then lied by omission in his first confession about the months-long build-up to the affair. During that time, I was bonding with my mother over wedding planning. She even brought me dress shopping. It's freaking sick. I'd be misplaced to not acknowledge his integrity around the R thing. He told me it'd be easy to run with that in order to keep me, and said if that's how it happened, I would stay with him. But that had already betrayed me. He wouldn't be able to live with himself if he made a false claim about something so serious instead of taking responsibility. Well, that is the only part I respect him for. As for my mom, nothing. Not a word from her since this weekend. Fine by me. I never want to see or hear from her again. It's almost like she died. I don't have a mother anymore. Some of you ask about my father. He died of health issues in 2010, and my mom had a revolving door of men when I was a teen, but no real relationships. So I don't have a dad or a stepdad either. I'm also an only child. I have friends and some other family, but just did not have the energy yet to tell them about any of this. Last thing, some people thought my post was made up because I hadn't replied to any comments. That was because I was so exhausted I just passed out right after posting it. When I woke up, it was locked and I couldn't reply. And now for the actual update. I'm proceeding with divorce and have gotten in touch with an attorney. I've kicked him out of the house and I think he's gone to his parents for the time being. Not looking forward to a legal battle whatsoever, but there's no possible way to remain married after this mess. To this day, he doesn't know why he did it. I have my own suspicions based on things he said in the past about wishing he'd had more romantic partners before me, because he felt like he had missed out on his youth. Maybe that was my clue that it wasn't enough for him. Should have listened, but let him and some friends talk me to believing I must be, or he wouldn't be with me. And that all guys have regrets like that and sacrifice them for the right woman. Clearly that wasn't me. He also struggles with overuse of adult movies sometimes. Stepmom is his favorite genre. It never struck me as anything other than a dumb porn thing. Whatever. I won't be dating for a long time because obviously I'm colorblind to red flags. Whoa. That's completely messed up. So sorry you have to deal with all this. It is messed up. To this day, he doesn't know why he did it. That's a lie. He planned it out in detail. He knows why he did it even if he won't admit it. Also, I seriously doubt he admitted to this out of guilt. He just wants out of the marriage and this was the easiest way to get that. I wouldn't be surprised if he is fooling around behind her back with someone. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if he is lying about cutting off the mom. I've had friends that did crazy stuff for their bachelor party. Normal crazy stuff like strippers, hookers, and blow. And if some of it came out, it might end their marriage. Decades later, no one has ever said a word. It happened, it's not happening ever again. Code of silence. I don't blame anyone for thinking that sort of thing is stupid and crappy. But at the same time, to me, it's worse to go years into a marriage with someone and then admit to something like that to assuage your own guilt. Own that guilt and live with the shame. Be a better person if you really want to do right by your partner. This guilt thing is just an excuse to bail. I'd be misplaced to not acknowledge his integrity around the thing. He told me it'd be easy to run with that in order to keep me. I said if that's how it happened, I would stay with him. But that he'd already betrayed me. He wouldn't be able to live with himself if he made a false accusation about something so serious instead of taking responsibility. Well, that is the only part I respect him for. Also, don't fall for this OP. He wants out. That's the reason why he isn't playing this angle. If you had caught him and he wanted to stay, he would throw mom under the bus, no problem. This is just a way for him to keep some sort of control over you. Make you think he isn't as bad as he seems. He is that bad. Take him to the cleaners in the divorce. No holds barred. Oh God. Please don't try to normalize being able to do things like that, knowing it'll ruin the relationship if it came out, then keeping it a secret. If they don't want their partners knowing it, then they shouldn't be doing it. I'm proceeding with divorce and have gotten in touch with an attorney. I've kicked him out of the house. Good. Yes. Affirm. Absolutely yes. Cut these people out of your life like the cancerous tumors they are and go no contact forever. My God. Invest in you. Please get therapy for the trauma that has been inflicted on you by this terrible betrayal. He is a POS, and your mom is no mother. She's a trashy female bi parent, nothing more. Unbelievable to do this to your own daughter. Strength and healing to you, OP. Thank you. Finding someone for therapy is on my to-do list before the end of the week. Excellent. A good therapist with expertise in trauma recovery can really help. I'm really sorry for you. You're making the right decision. I'm sending you a lot of strength and a big hug. Thank you. I appreciate the affirmation. It's really hard. Don't hesitate to use the "I'll tell everyone what you did" to your advantage in divorce proceedings. How disgusting. Now for the last story. Apparently my husband's family thinks I miscarried on purpose. I, 24 female, husband 30 male, lost my baby last week. And now I also have to worry about the fact that my husband's family thinks I did it on purpose. A little bit of backstory. I've been in the US for 5 years, but I'm not from here. Different skin color, foreign accent. I'm not a daughter/sister-in-law they expected, which his mom and sister have voiced before. In front of me. Hubby told them to stop and things got somewhat better, although his sister still makes weird comments at times. She invited us over to her place and then had the nerve to say in front of everybody that my miscarriage is not that big of a deal since I did it on purpose, and that it's not like I wanted a baby anyway, which is not true. I said to her once during our first year of being married that I felt that we didn't need to rush into getting pregnant, and she took it and turned it into me not wanting babies. And now over a year later she threw that in my face. When hubby tried to tell her to stop, but his mom joined in and said that his sister was right, that I probably did it on purpose. Like what? My husband stood up for me, and when he realized his mom was in on it too, he grabbed me and we left, which I'm grateful for, but he now wants me to let them come over and apologize. But I never want to see them again. I know that's unrealistic though, so how do I look at them, have them at my house, without wanting to throw something in their faces and tell them how I really feel? Mother-in-law and sister-in-law are definitely terrible people. Their apology will not come from their heart, but from the tongue just to save face with your husband. Keep these people at a distance from now on. I want to never see them again. Unfortunately, they're his family, and I know that he wants us to just get along or at least be civil. I've been civil this whole time though. I don't think I've ever done anything to deserve this. Sure, you can be civil and at the same time keep your distance, so they don't have another opportunity to hurt you with cruel words. So sorry for your miscarriage. And to think the words came from women. They sounded really sorry for us when his sister invited us to come over and have supper to take our minds off the situation. I fell for it like a dummy. I'm so stupid for thinking they would be capable of feeling bad for me and help me grieve. Just tell him you aren't ready to see them to hear an apology and you'll let him know when you are. I have. He's convinced that we should get it all settled as soon as possible because we're a family, but it's so obvious they don't see me as a part of their family.
Update. Am I the a-hole for flirting with another girl after my girlfriend introduced me as a friend? Original post. Me, 28 male, and my girlfriend, 29 female, have been together for more than 2 years. We recently moved cities, and she started working in a new place 3 months ago. 2 days ago, there was an after-work get-together event at a bar with her co-workers, and she forgot her phone charger at home and her battery was low. So I went to give her the extra power bank we have at home, as her phone uses the old USB type. As I went to her table to give it to her, one of her colleagues asked her who I am. Before I could say anything, she replied, "This is my friend OP. He agreed to lend me the charger." I was a bit taken aback and looked at her and said, "Friend?" She just laughed and said, "You are so funny. Thank you for this," and waved to me, as in implying goodbye. One of the other colleagues asked me if I was free. I could also join them, and I said why not, and I could sense the annoyance on my girlfriend's face. People were drinking. Some talked to me and asked me questions, made conversation. What do I do? Where did I grow up, etc. I should mention at this point that my girlfriend and most of her colleagues there were Chinese, and I am Indian. This becomes relevant later. Whenever someone would ask me anything related to how I met my girlfriend, she would pipe up to answer in a way that wasn't untrue, but completely omitted any romance, giving the impression that we were just old friends. This kept bothering me, and I will admit I was getting pretty angry. Then one of the colleagues, who initially asked who I was, pretty drunk now, said, "She never told us she had such a good-looking friend," and laughed. My girlfriend also did a small polite laugh. I replied, "I didn't know she had such a pretty colleague either," and winked at her, which made her laugh more, but my girlfriend became visibly upset. Another colleague said to my girlfriend, "Seems like you are an expert Cupid." My girlfriend was turning red, and I was also feeling slightly uncomfortable. So after a bit more chit-chat, I made an excuse and said I had to go. The colleague said I should get her number from my girlfriend, and then I left. Now when she came back, she refused to talk to me, and yesterday she angrily told me that I had kind of cheated on her and hurt her badly. I replied that although what I did was hurtful, she also needs to own up to the fact that introducing me as just a friend was hurtful. She refuses to acknowledge it as wrong, saying that she's just socially awkward and she thought that her colleagues might react weirdly to her dating an Indian guy. as they all are dating white or other Chinese people. Her reasoning is that it is a lot of explanation and questions regarding interracial dating, and she just wanted to avoid all that. I don't buy it. I feel she just wanted to hide the fact that she is dating me. We are at an impasse. I refuse to apologize until she sees that what she did was wrong, and she thinks she did not do anything wrong, and that I was mean. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Absolutely not the a-hole. Your girlfriend essentially erased your relationship to her new friends. New friends, I might add, who clearly didn't give a toss about your ethnicity. Your judgment was right. She just didn't want to admit she was dating you. Sorry, but that's a deal breaker. I would love to buy this man a drink for the way he handled it. She didn't want him to be her boyfriend in this group, so he didn't act like it. Beautiful. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend introduced you as just a friend after 2 years together? That's hurtful. Flirting back was petty, but understandable. She can't hide the relationship and expect you to act like her boyfriend in front of people she's hiding you from. You both need to talk honestly about why she's ashamed to acknowledge you. Not the a-hole, but you're not going to recover from this because the incident clearly demonstrates the kind of relationship you have. She's ashamed of you, socially. She'll keep you a secret, and you're not going to be able to progress in terms of commitment. If she's ashamed of calling you boyfriend, do you think she'll be willing to call you fiancé or husband? Now for the update. Thank you all for your responses and advice on my previous post. The last 3 days were a whirlwind. To answer some questions people had, in the work friend group that day, there were 3 guys as well. I did not publicly correct her because saving face is quite important for her. She would have had a literal panic attack if I had done that. On Friday we talked. I admitted I was petty, but I was also hurt by her introduction of me as a friend. She broke down. At work, they have a group chat where they share memes, and it gave her the impression that they hate Indian people. She did not want to become the topic of jokes, so she had planned to introduce me slowly to the group as a friend, and after they started liking me, reveal that we were dating. This backfired badly because I started talking to them last week before she was ready, and she got anxious and went into autopilot mode to support her initial lie that I was a friend. She felt helpless, guilty, and hurt when they found me acceptable and cool, and I started flirting. Why did she not tell me all this earlier? She felt that it would make me dislike her coworkers, who are otherwise actually nice people, and she thought I would feel bad that she works with them. I asked her if I could see that group chat. I wanted to make sure this was the real reason and not a work crush, as many had suggested. Almost 1/3 of the older memes they shared were Indians dirty and civilized, or Indians horny creeps, etc. Y'all know, they're plenty on IG. There were also some about Southeast Asians, mostly posted by one guy and one girl. Others would just laugh, react, or add a one-liner. I scrolled back to an old message by my girlfriend to one of these memes. She had said, "I have an Indian friend. He is pretty nice actually." Someone had replied, "You found one of the clean ones," followed by a bunch of laugh reacts. There were also some recent messages after they met me, but I didn't bother to read and translate it all. I realized that although she liked my personality and looks, she was never very interested in my language or culture. Since I started dating her, I got an HSK3, can cook most Chinese dishes perfectly, and know all about her region. But Holy will come and go without her still knowing what Holy is. I felt hurt that those kinds of jokes weren't a big enough deal for her. I asked her why she never said anything to them about these jokes. She said this is the kind of reaction why she didn't tell me before. She feels like a relationship is private and is not a part of who she is as a person, especially at work, so she saw no reason to create tension. I feel she just means I am not worth it. I asked her point blank if she would have preferred if I were not Indian. She said it would have made her life easier. That stung me. I packed some clothes and went to a friend's house. I don't even know how to write about my feelings even now, but I felt very hurt, as if my trust was completely broken by her. My friend is going on vacation and will let me stay at his place while I find a new one. Today I went to get my other belongings, and she was crying a lot. She says she does not understand why something so minor can make me break up and throw away a good thing. She says she loves me, and if it is so important, she will change her workplace. I told her I will need to think about things, but I cannot be with her right now. My brain honestly feels like a jumble right now. I know that I feel hurt, but I'm having a hard time articulating exactly what things hurt me. It's interesting that she feels that erasing a whole part of who you are is something so minor. She wasn't proud of you, didn't defend you, didn't have courage to call you hers publicly. So she loses all the goodness that you are. OP, I'm proud of you for choosing yourself and holding a line. It would be easy to just try to get past this, but you're honoring your worth. Your ex can find an easier partner more aligned with her ingrained racism. In the meantime, you're going to go on kicking goals in life. Exactly. She hid who OP was and called it minor. That's not love or respect. Yeah, did the right thing by choosing yourself and walking away. Bruh, this is not minor. She is delulu if she thinks their racism and her own is minor. You are absolutely right to break things off with her. Do not ever consider getting back with her. Racism should be a deal breaker. End of story. Next story. My girlfriend reminded me to pay her back $10 after I forgot my wallet. I've paid for almost everything over 4 years, and it left me feeling weird. Original post. I, 28 males, have been with my girlfriend, 24 females, for 4 years. We're serious, planning to get married. Throughout the relationship, I've paid for nearly everything. Dates, trips, food, gifts, you name it. I'd say easily 99% of all expenses were covered by me. She never really offered to split or pay, and I never asked her to. I was working full-time and doing well financially, so I didn't mind. Recently, though, I quit my job because I was mentally exhausted. I've been going through a bit of a burnout and needed a break. She, on the other hand, is currently working full-time and doing fine financially. The other day, we went out and she wanted a bubble tea. I forgot my wallet and my phone was dead, so I asked her to pay for it. It was like $10. She paid, drank it, and I dropped her off at her apartment. The next morning, she reminded me to send her the money. I had completely forgotten, so I sent it right away, but it left a weird feeling. I've spent thousands on her over the years, never asked for a dime back, and now that I'm out of a job and she's doing well, she couldn't let a $10 bubble tea slide. It's not about the money, it's about what it says. I can't tell if I'm overthinking this or if it's a red flag. I've always treated the relationship as a partnership, and this just felt transactional. Am I being too sensitive? Or is this worth paying attention to? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Excuse me, sir. Are you saying that she wanted bubble tea for herself, expected you to pay, and because you couldn't pay it, she had to pay for her own bubble tea herself? And now you have to give her money for the bubble tea she paid because she wanted it? That's just weird. I mean, I would understand if you offered, forgot your wallet, and said, "Go on, I'll give you the money later." But she invited herself for you to pay her bubble tea? Yeah, I get how it sounds. And honestly, looking back, maybe it was a bad decision. But the truth is, I was just trying to be that man, the one who takes care of everything, so that later when we have kids, she wouldn't have to worry about money or struggle like I saw people. I thought I was doing the right thing by carrying it all, even when I was sinking. I didn't realize how one-sided it was becoming until it was too late. I wanted to be strong for her, but in the end, I just drained myself trying to live up to something that wasn't even appreciated. I hate to tell you, though this woman has zero empathy or consideration for you. Whether you've been the person financing everything in the relationship in the past, the fact is emotionally you're not in that place to do it now, and she is doing absolutely zero to help you while you're in a tough place. It's a partnership, and relationships are always going to have ups and downs. But she is choosing to not be there to be your support to lean on during your tough time. I really think you need to take a serious look at this, and perhaps get yourself into some counseling to see if she's really meeting your emotional needs. Sending you an internet hug, my friend, you deserve better. Feels a little transactional? Your entire relationship has been transactional. 4 years of you paying for the entirety of the relationship. You're paying her to be in a relationship with you. What is that, 30K over 4 years? She doesn't have to put a cent towards things. Could have been 15K you saved if she chipped in on things. And when you two break up, probably will happen, Her bank account is nice and juicy. Meanwhile, yours has a burnt hole in it. You're considering marrying each other. Will it always be her money is her money and your money is our money? What is her expectations for marriage? Because if her savings don't become your savings, you are marrying bad. For real, he's been financing her their entire relationship and suddenly this $10 is the straw that broke the camel's back? OP, she's been using you for money the entire relationship. This isn't news. Just unsure why you've been fine with it until now. Now for the update. Thanks to everyone who commented. I've been reading everything and it really helped me step back and see things clearly. When we started dating, we were both students. I was finishing engineering and already had a job lined up. I also worked as a teaching assistant, so I was doing fine financially. She was still a student, so I paid because she was broke. I never asked her to pay and she never offered. Still never offered to split anything, not even the small stuff. I tried bringing up equality and shared effort, but she always shut it down with comments like, "You're the man, you should take care of me," or "We can't have two women in the relationship." What really got to me is that when I stopped proposing dates or doing everything, she started saying I wasn't making enough effort. Meanwhile, I've been carrying this for 4 years. That bubble tea wasn't about the $10. It was about realizing how little support I was getting back. So yeah, I'm out. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share details about my finances with my girlfriend and her parents? I, 23 male, just got out of the Marine Corps and moved back in with my parents to go to school full-time using the GI Bill. My tuition, books, and living stipend are covered, and I'm also serving in the reserves. I've always been disciplined with money. I save aggressively, invest, and live way below my means, even though I have hobbies like riding my motorcycle and gaming. I'm good with money, and I have a solid plan for the future. My girlfriend, 22 female, and I have been together since high school. She's also living at home, going to nursing school and working part-time as a restaurant host. She's told me she's super stressed about her finances. She has a high car payment and insurance, and she spends a lot on self-care stuff. Salon, nails, cosmetics, designer bags, etc. She admits she doesn't budget or plan much. Lately, she and even her parents have been pressing me to talk about my financial situation. They've asked how much money I have saved, what I earn, how I invest, and even hinted that we should open joint accounts. My girlfriend recently told me that if I'm not more open about money, maybe we need to take a break. That really threw me. We're not married, not even living together. I don't see how joint finances or total transparency make sense at this stage. I was raised to believe you keep your finances private unless you're married or building a life together, and even then, you don't have to merge everything. My parents think it's bizarre that her folks are getting involved, and they've warned me not to share financial details this early. They've even said if we eventually marry, we should consider keeping separate accounts and maybe a prenup, especially since we have such different attitudes toward money. So now I'm stuck wondering, am I the a-hole for keeping my financial details to myself? Is it actually that weird to want privacy about money while we're still in school and living at home? Or are her concerns valid and I'm being too guarded? Edit. To clarify, I care about her a lot and want the relationship to work. I'm just worried that if I start sharing financial details now, it sets a precedent I'm uncomfortable with, especially with how much influence her parents seem to have. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my finances and resisting the idea of joint financial planning while we're both still students living at home? Not the a-hole. She and her parents want her to be spending your money. It's none of her parents' business. If she wants a break over this, take one. Find a girlfriend who's responsible with money and who has financial behavior that matches yours. Her parents are probably tired of financially bailing her out and are thinking they can pass it on to you. Brother, I would take a break and see where it goes. Besides, if you merge finances, her debt becomes yours, whether you keep separate accounts or not. You say you love her, but maybe it's time to love someone else. If they get married, then she will be his problem. The fact her parents are trying to pawn her off when they aren't married or even engaged is a huge red flag. Your finances are absolutely none of her business right now. Get ready to get bombarded with requests for support once they find out you have reserves. I don't want to suggest breaking up with her because it sounds like you have been together for a long time, and I will assume she has some great qualities. But the fact that she is irresponsible with money and has no blueprint for succeeding in life means she is relying on you as her get-out-of-jail-free card. Her poor decisions and issues are about to become yours. She needs to address the underlying problem and fix it. I recommend doing Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University together as a couple. This will serve as a great indicator of how she will be in a marriage and also be a good litmus test as to if you are truly compatible. This course is great because it is highly motivating and will get you on the same page financially. Or at least, it will help unite you in your goals. For the love of God, do not join finances with this woman or share how much you have in savings. It's none of her business or her parents. That's a bigger red flag that they are getting involved.